Yo, what is cracking, y'all? So, um, my aunt had a 98 Chevy truck, and she's been out of state for a while working, and she didn't really need the truck anymore. She went and bought her a new Silverado. Whew, I wish I could, but I don't want that kind of payment. um, so I'm going live because I don't have storage right now to actually video it and edit and upload and everything. But me and my dad have been talking about that one, that engine right there. I got that. Found it on Facebook for 150 bucks. Man, I couldn't believe it. I was like, 150 bucks. You know, he said he had the roller lifters and the retainers and the spring, the spider assembly goes on top and all that stuff. The oil pump was still in it. He had the oil pan to it and everything. The only thing he did, okay, so the story is he bought a truck and he pulled the motor out, and I don't really know exactly what happened with the truck, or whatever, but he pulled the motor out. He took the heads off of them because Vortec heads are pretty good. Um, he said it was also out of a '98 truck. It's a 350 roller. So he pulled the heads off and kept them and had them redone. He showed me those heads. They were nice. I wish I could have got them with it, but I wasn't stressing it. I prefer just to go get some aluminum heads. I know someone that local speed shop. He's got a guy that buys just the blank heads, aluminum heads, and he gets stainless valves and springs and spring cups and studs and push rod little guides and all that stuff, and he builds the heads and everything, which is really cool. And only 750 bucks, so I'm definitely gonna be running that on every new project I start from now on. The the Camaro, I haven't uploaded a video on it in a while. I've got a short clip of it running. I'll probably upload that just for the heck of it. But I'll upload a video here in just a minute on the Camaro situation. But it needs a lot of work. Let's just put it there. So this motor um, missed some oil changes. It has, well, most of the oil. I guess they probably never had changed the oil. They probably just changed the filter and then added oil to it because the whole outside of the motor is just caked. It's cake. Um, so um, when I got there and I saw it, I was like, man, this thing's in really good condition. And it spun it over and I was checking the cylinders and everything. It had stock pistons and everything, and I still had the little windage tray that they put on the bolted to three of the mains, four of them, I guess. No, three mains, and the oil pump bolt holds it down as well. So I was like, yeah. Checked out his car. He had a nice car. He had a truck. He was doing a frame off restoration on a truck. Uh, that he was going to put an LS in it. Apparently, he said he wasn't going to get rid of this motor, but he's dead set on an LS, so he decided to sell this one. So, um, really cool guy. Had to drive an hour and a half one way just to get there, but it was worth it. It was worth it. Meeting the guy, checking out what he's got going on and everything, and getting the motor for 150 bucks. I couldn't beat it. You can't beat it. Um, so the only thing I've done when I just got done doing everything. Oh, my hands actually look clean. They're not that clean. I just wiped them off. But up numbered the rods, pulled the pistons out and everything, pulled the timing set off of it, and the cam is still in it. because I have to get that little plate that goes on the front of the cam. I have to get that off. Um, got all the lifters and everything put in a box and everything. So hang on. Let me just set this back down for a second. So the plan for this motor is a big cam. There it is. Now you can actually get it in frame. Big cam, new roller, lifters, um, hydraulics. Don't still stick with the hydraulics. Actually, to be honest with you, I'd probably reuse the lifters that I've got because there's like nothing. There's like no miles on this motor whatsoever. They're still cross hatching in the cylinders. And I did verify the bore. It is indeed 100% a stock bore. So I probably won't be boring it out. I think I'll just hone it with my 400 grit hone and then put my new pistons and rings in. As for pistons, I plan to go to a 125 dome, which is like 11.3 cc dome, I believe. uh, I might reuse the rods. I'm gonna reuse the rods that came out of it because they're good. I'm probably gonna reuse the crank. The crank's in good condition. It just needs a polish. Check its balance and everything. Clean it, and I'll reuse it. And this motor is actually gonna go into the 98 truck, and the truck still runs and drives. And it has a 4L65E, I believe is what's in it. It's a 2500 truck. Any of y'all that know a lot about those trucks, without me having to go look it up, just comment down below what transmission are in those. 99% of the time with the 350. So the plan for this is to build the bottom end, put heads on it, and put an intake and carburetor and a new distributor. I'm going to go to a CNC machine aluminum timing cover instead of the plastic one. You can run the stock one from the older style 350. There's no difference between the plastic one and that one, and the one that can go on it. As of the bolt pattern, it's the same. So you can run those on these motors, but I don't like those covers. I don't like the chrome. I don't like black. Well, I don't really have a problem with black, but I don't want a black timing cover. I just don't like stamp steel covers. They I know people are going to say, well, you torque them down right, they don't leak. Well, I just don't like the sheet metal. It just seems cheap. Spend a lot of money on all this stuff anyway, so I don't want to, put a cheap stamp steel timing cover on the front of it and have it look warped and all that stuff. I just can't stand that stuff, so just going to go ahead and avoid that and just get the Comp Chems aluminum one or whatever they make for it. So one piece rear main seal, which I prefer every day of the week because you get a rear main seal leak. I mean, all you gotta do is, you go through the same process you would on a normal 350. You gotta pull the transmission and the flywheel, but instead of having to pull the motor out and drop the oil pan and the crank and all that stuff, and all the rods, the pistons, so you gotta pull the heads. All you gotta do is take the bolts out the back. Well, actually, I think you still have to drop the oil pan because the back two nuts that go on the oil pan is actually part of that cover. So, but you can pull the seal housing out and then pull the seal out and put a new seal in and put the housing back in. So, you probably still have to drop the oil pan, but you don't have to pull the crank to replace the rear main seal. Plus, that'd be hard to do upside down, sitting there and trying to put that seal in and seal it up and everything. You have to pull the rear main, you have to pull the crank. So this is preferred. I always wanted to build a roller motor, never have. So build this one, stick it back in that truck. It's going to be more of a torque motor. It's not going to be wicked, but I want to build something something more interesting. In the original motor that comes out of that truck, might reuse the heads. Might actually reuse those heads. I'm not 100% yet, but I might. Definitely reusing those rods, like I said. Just because they're a good rod, and we're not going to build 1,000 horsepower, so we're looking at. I want 500 foot-pounds of torque out of it. That's what I want to do. So It's going to get an Edelbrock AVS2, which is what's on the Camaro, the Street Fire MSD distributor, which is what's on the Camaro, and the Edelbrock RPM air gap, which is also what's on the Camaro. It's also going to get a cowl hood. That's not a big deal. That's not hard to get. Just want something more interesting to drive. And I've got the Camaro, but it's not running yet. It's probably not going to run for a while. I mean, it runs. I can start it up right now, but to get it where I can drive it, I was thinking about. I've got a spare transmission out here. It's a 350 turbo, and I want a 4-speed in the Camaro. It's not making a whole lot of horsepower, but I want a 4-speed in the car to get a little bit better fuel economy. I want to drive it to work. So my plan is to trade the 350 turbo for a good 700 R4. And if it's 700 R4, see, I want to get it from someone I can trust. Now I can actually get one right now that I know has second gear out. So I can just take the transmission down to the shop and take them a kit and say, can you rebuild this transmission for me? And they'd have it done in 2 days. So that's what I'm probably going to have to do. I've got a 700 R4 in the Camaro. Here I go again. I'm talking about the Camaro again. So let me go ahead and just quit yapping, because I have been for 11 minutes now. I'm going to have to clean this back camera pretty good here. Let's see if I can turn it around and see how good it looks. Yep, looks like crap. So anyways, for those of you that don't know, this is for the Spider. It holds so it goes on like that. It touches in between the lifters, and it holds these down. And these are just little anti-rotation things for the lifters. So that's all that is. And you see how everything's in pretty good shape. It's got some oil buildup on it, but I mean, they're dirty, but they're good. 750. But here's the parts from underneath. You can see I've got some spare stuff here and there. And then there's the pistons, the rods. Bearings are good and everything. Definitely gonna reuse them bearings. Just kidding. But they're in good condition. So is the crank. 5.7. So there's rear main seal housing. Cylinders are in pretty good condition. If I could wipe it out, has no ridge. It feels like it has. I mean, I could feel it slightly on my finger, but fingernail's not catching on it. It's got some carbon buildup on that spot though, on them. So, but there's no, there's no actual ridge. And then if you look down in here, in the lot, you might be able to see some of the cross hatching. Some of it's still there, not all of it. So all you gotta do is hone it. And then you can see the skirt rides all the way to the bottom of the cylinder, but on each side where the window is, there's carbon buildup down there from the oil. And then this is the plate that retains the cam. The crank just spins so easily and freely. There's no tight spots or nothing in the crank. But yeah, you can see here, I've been kind of picking at it here and there. It's cake on there. Yeah. Definitely going to go back to a mechanical fuel pump on this motor, of course. I just prefer that. 2-bolt main block, no big deal. There's the crank. I'm not going to flip this thing over. It's a pain in the butt to flip over on this cheap engine stand. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good find. So I want to keep it stock bore. And the reason why I want to keep it stock bore is so that later on down the road, when it gets rebuilt next time, you don't get a 30 over block that needs, you probably, I mean, sometimes you can get away with, cleaning up a 30 over block, and you can put 30 over pistons in it again, or you can go to 40, which is harder to get, or you can go to 60. And 60 is kind of pushing the cylinder wall thickness in some areas, so you want to be very careful on that. I know there's a lot of people out there that say you can do 60 or you can't do 60 because it cracks the cylinder walls. I don't know, but I do know that these cylinders are still good. As for what I'm seeing, I haven't checked anything like if it's out of round or if it's got any taper in it or anything like that, because if it does, it's going to have to just be cleaned out by boring at 30. So we'll have to see. I'll probably, I don't know. I mean, you could, they're just going to have to be checked. Once they're checked, and then you can see if you need to board or not. And if it's ovulated any way whatsoever, go ahead, board out. But I'm going to avoid that if I can. So I'm not going to take this down to the machine shop with 30 over pistons and say, hey, bore this motor out 30, because they're going to look at me like, why? Let's see. Here's a 30 over piston. I mean, for those of y'all that don't know, pistons are barrel shaped. So that's why this 30 over piston fits in the standard bore to a certain extent. It's just because it's barrel shaped. So it's actually small up here, and then the thickest area on the piston is going to be right in here. And then where they have this, so I don't know if this is actually graphol coating, but I know that I think graphol is more of a trademark name for this coating, but this is a graphol coating. It's a graphite coating, and the reason why they have that bare aluminum spot is that's where you want to measure on each side. That's where you measure your diameter and you bore your cylinders. Now these are junk pistons. These are the worst pistons you can get, probably. I'd run the factory pistons before I will one of these. This is a Keith Black Claimer piston. These are horrendous. They break right here so easily. It's ridiculous. Don't ask me how I know. I've seen it. I'm not done it. I've never installed them. I knew better. My dad told me not to do that. Anyways, it'll probably get decked. Just because of how GM I don't know, it might not need it, it might need it, but I was wanting to zero it, basically, so that means the piston isn't down in the hole. Piston comes straight to the top. Helps with compression just a little bit. I mean, we're not talking about much, we're talking about 5 thousandths or to 5 to 15 thousandths, so not a big deal. We'll see when it gets to the machine shop what it needs, what it don't. Yeah, I'm going to cut it short there at 18 minutes. Thanks for watching. Comment down below, like and subscribe. Thanks.